option too, to be older and be singing Tony Bennett in the car with your kid one day, you know.
Well, and it's musical in that, that the start of this story has this feeling, the middle has this feeling, and
Yeah.
the end it moves, right? It has a musicality to it. And the fact that, your stories are in communication not just with other short stories and other pieces of fiction, but a song,
Right.
It's
Right.
not sealed off from other kinds of storytelling or other kinds of arts.
Yeah.
And that's important as well, right? You're telling stories, you want them to feel accessible, and someone from your neighborhood, from Bridgeport, someone can pick it up and feel
Right.
like it feels real.
Right after
And including those details, those references, is a way so that it feels like it's part of the whole world.
volume
Right.
should be good. Just make
Who else
sure
had a question
it is,
for Billy?
and I'll be running it.
So, okay, Tony and then, okay.
This woman who comes in who's sad, and it became your memory, would it crush you if you found out that you were wrong, if she wasn't sad, she was thinking about making dinner or something like that?
No, I just felt like, because I think that happens a lot too, but I'm really interested in this idea of imagined narrative in fiction now too, because this is what we're trying to figure out the world, and we always have like limited information. We always have these uncertainties, I go home and my son looks like he's upset, and I ask him what's wrong. He says nothing, and I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing, Dad. I was serious. Everybody's asking me what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. And then I gotta think about what his day was like, and I gotta think about, all right, what happened? Did something happen here? Did something happen at school? And I have to sort of imagine a narrative to find out what it is, and sometimes we're probably off all the time, But I also felt like even if I didn't recognize something, then there was something I was sad about, and I got to figure out the reason for that though.
I think that action of just for like 5 minutes pretending
Right.
to be somebody else, it's essential.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see the discourse right now
Right.
in politics on the national stage, the complete lack, of inability to pretend to be somebody else for 5 minutes.
Right.
And how essential that is. And whether you're right or wrong, whether you're you're spot on or what you imagine might be something else. Just that act of, what's it like to be in somebody else's shoes? What was this lady feeling? It's essential.
Right. And that's what I think what fiction does most to us. And there's actually a lot of studies are coming out now that people just think our capacity for human empathy largely comes from fiction.
Someone had their hand up over here.
Yes. So she's asking about the process.
Billy's writing process.
And I'm fascinated with this question I love talking to writers about this. Lately, it has changed all the time for me. Lately, there's no place in my apartment that I can feel like I can write. And I got a roommate who's just very loud and doesn't understand, when I'm working. He has no idea what I'm doing. And so I can't do it there, so I go to where I work to write. And I write mostly longhand now. If it's a new draft, I write longhand. I bought these excellent pencils, the Palomino 602. You should all write this down, Palomino 602 Blackwing.
Billy, you're being sponsored by a pencil company.
I don't make any money from them. They're great pencils. There's a sharpener, a special sharpener that you got to get with them too, Palomino Blackwing 602. There's a lot of different Palominos. That one's my favorite. I just like the softer lead ones. That's my favorite. And so that's my process. I can't listen to music. I could listen to music if I don't know any of the lyrics. But I usually don't. And when everything is pre-writing to me. So when I'm at the gym or something, or when I'm anywhere, I hardly ever listen to music because I just can't think of story stuff when I'm working on something. So these are good questions. And I'm a binge writer. I write like crazy in the summer and weekends and breaks, and not that much during the school year.
But when you set out to write a story, though, you start with these images. You start with these questions. You don't start with that finished story is. You start with these small pieces that you start writing and beginning pulling together, right?
Yeah, I have no idea where to go, and usually I'll start off with a line of dialogue. someone say, or an idea that I want to end in this car or something like that, they're hardly ever sort of pieced together.
Well, why do you feel like that's the best way? Because to me, if I was a beginning writer, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
Not to know where you're going, you're just wandering around in the dark.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's such an important part, not knowing where you're going when you're writing?
I feel like I think even in school when I teach high school, I call we don't even use the terminology first draft anymore. I don't, at least I call them the discovery drafts, you know, because I think that you don't know where you're going with it. You need an access intro, something to give you access to the story. And once you have that, that's what you need. And then the thing changes, it becomes something else, and then your intro no longer works for you for the most part. But I feel like there's a kind of a mood. I never sit down and think of theme. I don't know anybody really who does. It just thinks, I'm going to write a book about race. In fiction or whatever.
I'm going to write a thing about man's inhumanity towards man.
Right.
You don't sit down and start with that.
No.
You start, here's a person I knew.
Right.
Here's something someone said. Here's this image I still can't, this kid with his hands out the window.
Right.
What is that? How do I build up to that?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of just trial and error.
Right. Sometimes it's titles. Someone will say something. And sometimes it's just I get a feeling from it immediately, and that's what I want to do. Is I want to write. I want to bring life to that thing that felt thing.
Oh, and one more question. This gentleman up front.
Do I ever what? No, there's something that's really thrilling to me about that though. One time when I had a substitute coming in for me, and we were teaching Lord of the Flies to freshmen. And I took their Lord of Flies books and I gave them each one of mine, and I said, when he comes in here, tell him he's making us read all his books. Just as a joke. I think it's really difficult for my students, at least, maybe not for everybody. Like, I don't think students have a problem if they're reading a book by an author that they don't know, separating what's real from what's not real. But if it's my students, I think they're thinking, you know, and if I have a character who's a teacher and he's flirting with one of his students, they're like, oh, what the hell is wrong with Billy? They can't, I think they can't separate it. Yeah. But a lot of times they'll ask, and then, you know, like, you have to go read it on your own.
I think we're on.
There's one more here.
More.
This. Yeah, you have to blow really hard. And that's just mostly, I'll do that too, but then it's just to find out how my breath is kicking or whatever that day. That was
a vehicle. You gotta be driving down the
highway. You gotta
highway.
be driving. When you're driving a little faster, it's like maybe 50, 55, 60 miles per hour. And then, of course, if you're going 70, it's just a bigger breath. No, it was a friend of mine said that. I pulled it into from another story that my friend said. Hey, you guys have been great. Thank you very much.
Did you stop the audio?